In this video, I'll show you how to build an inventory management system using Airtable and Softr IO. It will include multiple asset types, different user permission levels, and built-in QR code scanner to identify QR codes in real life using any mobile phone or tablet. We will cover how to build Airtable base for inventory tracking, how to set up user management in Softr, how to set up different screens and permission in Softr, and then finally we will go through how to generate QR codes inside of Airtable, and I will show you how to implement a QR code scanner inside of Softr IO custom code block. Let's get started. Hi, this is Greg from Business Automated. I was working on an inventory management project for my local sailing club, and the main challenge in that club was basically ability to keep track of individual boat parts and the owners that those parts belong to. And I have pretty much figured out all the setup inside of Airtable, but the one part that I was missing was ability to provide some sort of code that would be attached to the boat part that could be scanned individually, but available in a public way with different permission levels depending on the role within the club. And when the Softr team approached me about making video about Softr, I thought, okay, Softr is great for making portals and being able to display information from Airtable to bigger number of users that you would normally have if you would invite them just purely to Airtable. But what I was missing was how to add a QR scanner inside of Softr. There was no functionality like that, but it turns out that there is a very neat functionality which is called a custom block that will contain a custom JavaScript. So looking at that and looking at the Softr community forum, I was able to find interesting way how you can implement a custom QR code scanner directly inside of Softr. So that sort of solved all my challenge in here. So thank you very much to Softr for supporting this video, and thank you very much for also solving my business problem, how to show those parts only to people that are supposed to be seeing this. So let's start, maybe before we go into the setup, how this QR code is set up and how Softr is set up for this specific case. Let's go back to the Airtable setup and I'll explain a little bit how the inventory levels are structured over here. So the first element is the list of users. So you will see that we have different users with different boats and statuses assigned to them. And we also do have some of technical users over here. So we have boat boys, people that are managing the boat and their maintenance and upkeep. Then we also have chief boat boy, who is in charge of locating those boats in different parts of the storage. And then we have office staff that is responsible for making sure that everything runs smoothly and basically has the supervisory permission on everything and admin roles on all levels. The next item, we are having boats. So we have a table that contains boats, and we have different types of the boats. We have images of the boats to be able to check the latest status of the boat or to visually recognize them. Then we have some notes about specific boat, and then we have a location where a given boat is located. So what is the storage location of that specific boat? We have a person that is responsible for the maintenance, and then we also have a list of different boat parts. So here inside of the parts, we have, for every boat, we have multiple parts that are assigned. So you will see that, for example, for boat number L14, we have 7 different parts that are connected to that boat. And without a QR code, it might not always be clear to which boat a specific boom might belong if it gets mixed up with other inventory. So this way, by having a specific code on that boat, we will be able to identify exactly to which boat it belongs. So you can see that we have different types of boats. We, for example, can have 2 different sails for the same boat, and we can have some additional information that, for example, this is the racing sail, this is a training sail, and we can also add some additional information like the status and so on. So you can see that for a specific boat, we would be having multiple different parts. So whenever we see a spare Vang somewhere in the storage that is not close to the boat, we are able to kind of locate which boat it is. And the final element was, what are the locations where the boat are stored? So what we wanted to have is a solution that allows all the boat boys inside of the club to see all the details about every spare part inside of the club, to see details about all the boats, and to see details whenever they scan a QR code for a boat rack, they should be able to see what is the boat that should be there. And for the members, we wanted them to be able to see their own boats without being able to see details of other people's boats. And for the chief boat boys, we also wanted to have a functionality to provide editing options so that they can move those boats to different places. And finally, for the office staff, we wanted to provide the permission to modify everything that we see inside of Airtable, but from a nicer interface if they don't want to be using Airtable. So let's move on to Softr now. By the way, in the description of this video, I will also provide a link to the template that you can use together with Airtable base that you can start to manage your own inventory or implement your own inventory management system. All right, so before we start talking about how I set up the pages, let's talk about the users first. So on the user list, you have noticed that I had 4 different types of users in here. We are also having their emails here. At the moment, I added only my test emails over here. And inside of here, you can see these are the users that have already logged in. This is me. But let's move on to the user group. So this is the most important part about limiting the user access to different modules inside of, to different pages inside of Softr portal. You will see that, for example, for the group called Boat Boys, here we are adding a specific condition which is based on Airtable connection. So here you will see that within this group we have people that have type boat boy. For a member, we have people that have type member. So this is fairly straightforward. This way we have set up 4 different groups that we will be using later to manage visibility of different screens. All right, so once we show up on the home page, you see that on the home page we will have 2 types of navigation bars. So the first one is a navigation bar that is shown to people that are public, to anyone that would show up on the page. And you can see this at the corner with this globe icon. And you can also always check this by clicking on the visibility. So you can see that this is shown only to the users that are not logged in. Here at the side, the second navbar is visible only to users that are logged in. So you can see that once the users are logged in, they will be able to see that second navbar, and this finally element here, again, visible to all users. Now you will notice that here also on the side, I'm having specific links, and those links are also having individual visibility. Now let's talk about how we use the member groups to control visibility of all the items on the screen. So you can see that at the moment I'm clicking on this main banner who is visible to all users. And then once we go up, here the first navbar over here is visible to users that are not logged in. So this is the first step. The next up is visible only to members, and as you will see, I'm also differentiating the features and the links that are visible on the navigational bar. In this case, for members, there's only link to the list of boats. And then once we go to the final navbar, here this actually needs to be changed to boat boys, chief boat boys, and to the office staff. And this way, those groups will have additional link that will allow them to see the locations of the boat. Okay. Now let's move on to the list of boats, and here in a similar way we're differentiating what screens will be visible for which groups of users. And here's the pattern that I will be using all across the application. So you will see that the navbar is there by default already from the main page. If you'd like to change anything in the header, you adjust this here on the home page. The next element which I'm always adding, that for the users that are not logged in, they will see the sign-in screen. So if someone is not logged in, they will see this screen over here. And on most of the pages in this specific use case, I'm having 2 groups of blocks. So you will see that here we have the block with pictures, and then we have another block as a list. So the first block is visible only to the members. A member will have less boats, so that's why there is a view with images. For the staff over here, you will see that it's a longer list. That's why we're using a tabular format. And this is visible to all the groups listed here, as they will have more boats to look at. Now, another element is that once you look at the sub-menu here for each block, you can also have specific actions for each of the content. So for example, here you can also modify whether this specific action, which is add boat, whether this is showing up for everyone or whether this is showing up only for a specific group. In this case, the add boat is only visible to the office staff. These button level permission, action level permissions are available only on the business plan, which is the higher plan. So if you would like to achieve the same result on a basic plan, so for example, if you have 3 different types of button that are available for different level of people, then you will have to duplicate the same block another 2 times and then limit visibility for each based on the user group. So for example, if the button add boat should be available only to the office staff, then you should have a block that has visibility with office staff only, and then a separate copy of that block without that visibility. In this case, I'm just using, for the sake of simplicity, I'm using the business plan and I'm using the permission levels on each of the buttons. Okay, so here you will see that we have 2 different ways of displaying the same content depending on the user. And what is happening here, that regardless of what type of user it is, whenever you click on the item here in the actions, it will open the same page for any user. It will open the boat list details. So let's look at this page next. And here in a similar way, I have a block for users that are not logged in, and the next element is a block that contains details of a specific boat. So you will see the boat type, you will see an image of the boat, you will see the notes, you will see the box number / locker where this boat is located, and you will see details of specific hull and so on. And we also have parts of a boat. So you will see here that this block lists all the specific parts that belong to this boat. Let's change to the actual page to see that. So you will see here that I see the details of that specific boat, and here is the list of all the parts that belong to that specific boat, with edit button, with ability to add new parts and so on. Here I'm logged in as an office staff, so I can adjust all the elements here. So these are all the individual parts in the same block. Now coming back, you will notice that now I have replicated this group of block twice. So first I have those block once, and then you will see that I'm repeating exactly the same block here. What is the reason? So yes, I'm differentiating not only visibility over here by the member, and you will see that I'm also differentiating visibility here, but I'm also adjusting the source of information. So once we click on the first module, for members, the items that will show up will be only boats from the list that match this specific condition. So you will see here that for a boat, we have a lookup from the member of this boat. So you can see that this boat has a member A008 assigned, and we have a lookup of the email address, and we're using this here for the formula. So that means that the email of the member needs to be equal to the email of the current logged in user. This means that if I'm viewing this as a member, I will be only able to view boats that belong to me. So if there is 0 results, here I will see a message that says you don't have access to this boat details. This way, if someone else scans my boat, they will not know any details about what are the parts that belong to that boat and what is the information over there. Similar way it is implemented over here, but here this formula is a little bit more complex because it contains 2 parts. So the conditional filter for this block includes 2 elements. So boat list, since we have added here the parts table, so in this parts table we are filtering by the boat list. So the boat list needs to contain, from the current record, needs to contain the code. So the current record is the boat list over here, so the code is the code of the boat. So if we match the code of the boat to the code over here, this will give us only the parts that relate to that specific boat. And also we are having the same as in the previous module, a condition that shows only parts that are belonging to the current owner of the boat. So this is the top group of the blocks, and here in the second group, since this is visibility only for the boat boys, chief boat boy, and the office staff, we have full visibility without any condition, so they will be able to scan and check any parts of the boats. So they will be able to see any boats in any type of belonging to any member. But as an additional level, what we are having here is that, for example, on this specific boat, we have actions that have different conditions. So for example, edit button is visible only to the office staff. Once they click on the edit button, they can edit the record and they can edit all the fields over here. And you will see that now I am logged in as the office staff, and I can edit both parts over here. I can change the locker location, I can change the type of the boat, I can add comments and so on. The second button will not show up because the second button will show up only for the chief boat boy, and the chief boat boy here inside of this button will have limited functionality. So here on the edit record, there's only one value that he can adjust, meaning the location of the boat. So with his permission, he will be able to only adjust this one permission here. So everything else here will not be visible. This will be the only dynamically populated list of boat storage locations from our Airtable. Alright, so here we have parts of boat visible, but we also have individual pages for each of the boat parts. And why do we have also individual pages? It is because we want to be able to scan this QR code and basically find information about this specific boat. So we can actually see it over here. Once we go to the parts, you will see that here in the value for QR code, so this is actually the value that is contained inside of the QR code. This contains link to a part inside of Softr. So this is our domain that we're using and the record ID. So once we click on this specific link, this will give us details of a specific part. So you can see that it's a it's a must, and you can see the details of that specific part. Since I opened this as office staff, I'm able to edit this record, and here on the top I have a button that allows me to see the details of the boat. So once I click on this, I would go back to the boat. So this is what you see here on this page, and the way we have achieved this is by using a list component. So this list component is listing all the boats that have code matching the code of this specific boat. So if this code is matching the code of the boat, this item would show up, and obviously if the member is current member, so this is limiting us ability to see parts for the boats that do not belong to us. And since the code is matching only to one boat, this list will always result in displaying a single row that is clickable and allows us to go back to the details of that specific boat. And here we are having a regular list details page component with information about that specific boat, and below you will see that we have used similar trick to duplicate those two blocks above, but with visibility for different users. So we have different users over here, and we also have different level of permissions inside of the actions. And I hope this will give you a good idea how to set up pages with different level of visibility inside of Softr. You will notice here that one final page that I'm having over here is list of boat racks and boat rack details, which are built in a similar way, but we are also having a couple of additional pages which you can also customize. So for example, you can customize the login page, you can customize user profile page, so you can change the fields that are possible to be edited here, so you can add more fields here. You can also add a custom 404 page, and obviously you could add more additional pages that you might need. So you basically click add new page, and that's how you would end up with additional page. Alright, before we go to the scanning QR part, let's talk about how are we generating those QR codes here inside of Airtable. So you'll notice that I'm having already here on every page that can be scanned, I'm having a value for QR. And inside of this value for QR, I'm having a simple formula which concatenates the name of the website on which I'm having my current application together with the record ID. And this QR code over here is generated exactly containing this specific QR code underneath. You can scan this using any application on your phone, for example, Google Lens. Alright, now how are we generating those QR codes? So for that, I'm using extension over here. You can find it by pressing on add extension, type QR, and this is this QR extension over here by Little API CO. So this is the one that I have set up over here, and you can see that, for example, for the both parts, I have a part that is related to the both parts, and it is already pre-selected over here with all the table views and so on. And here I'm pressing generate 14 QR codes, so it will generate QR codes for all of the tables that we have, or you can also individually select the empty records. Once you have the empty records, it will generate only QR codes. You can also add license key to remove the watermark on it, and you can also add additional information, like for example a heading, or change the format, or change the compression level, and so on. So it's a very useful extension. Do consider supporting the creator of this extension if you're going to be using it. And now going back to Softr, how are we scanning that specific extension? So here you'll see that I am on the page which contains a custom code block. So the custom code block can be added from here for the site, and it's available on the basic plan. So it's a very affordable way to add QR scanning ability to your app. So now you will see that this is a code that I'm having, and I'll also share this code below. What is important here is that this is a pretty basic JavaScript which you can just copy paste, but what is important here is that we are using a specific library which you can also find with all the description on GitHub. It is called HTML5 QR code, which is a great little package which is super easy to use, but also offers some more customization. If you would like to play with this, you can use it as it is, but you can also customize it a bit more. It's a great product. If you're going to be using this, consider donating to the founder. Repositories like this are a lot of work and a lot of effort to maintain, so it's always great to support the founders and contributors. It offers scanning for many formats. In our case, we are just using the QR code scanner over here, and the way it actually looks inside of the app is following. So if you are doing this on a desktop, you have a screen like this, and you can either scan from your desktop tablet, or you can select an image from your computer. Unlikely case, as you will see, it has scanned the code and took me to that specific page for that specific pod. However, the most common way will be using this on your mobile phone. So you might first open this from like a general QR code scanner, but then later you will be using this inside of your phone, inside of the application. So alright, I hope this was useful for you and you got some good idea how to implement a QR code scanner inside of your Softr app, and also how to use Softr to create a portal with different permissions for different level of users, and also how to structure the underlying Airtable base to use with it. I will attach links to all the elements, Airtable base, Softr template, and the GitHub repository in the description of this video, and let me know how you guys are using this, and let me know how useful it was, and good luck automating your business processes. Have a great day. Bye.